I've made it very apparent on this channel that the 5th generation of Pokemon, Pokemon Black and White, is my favourite generation. The sequels being my favourite Pokemon games ever. I love these games. The visuals are amazing and a huge step above Gen 4, and may I remind you that both generations were released on the same console. The Pokemon designs, to an extent, are the perfect mix of cool, cute, and funny. The story is one of the best in the series, considering Pokemon is a series where the story doesn't really matter. Generation 5 is amazing. I know there are some people out there who love to clown on some of the Pokemon designs, and yes, a couple of them are weird, but I still love them. Yes, even the garbage bag. Plus, many people love to complain that you can't use any Pokemon other than Generation 5 Pokemon. They did change this in the sequel games, but to be honest, I like this choice. Anytime I play a Pokemon game, I always build a team using only Pokemon from that generation. I could just use the same Gyarados or Garchomp or Espeon for every playthrough, but I want to play around with the new Pokemon, find out which ones are good and what they evolve into. And boy, are there a lot of good Pokemon in this generation. Landorus was one of, if not the best Pokemon for a long time, especially its Therian form. Even in Scarlet and Violet VGC tournaments, Generation 5 Pokemon are still seeing tons of play. So yeah, I love Generation 5, and when I heard that the Pokemon TCG will be getting a 1-5-1 style side set featuring every Generation 5 Pokemon, I was hype. I didn't care about the quality of the cards or the competitiveness of the cards, it's Generation 5, that's all I cared about. And then I hear that every Pokemon will be getting an illustration rare and or secret art rare, as well as Pokeball and Master Ball reverse holos, and the set will be over 800 cards and will be released as a dual set. My wallet was crying that day. However, this got me thinking, what if I did a little challenge for myself in the Black and White games by somehow involving this new set? Can I beat Pokemon Black and White using only Pokemon I pull from booster packs? Let's lay down some basic rules, the most obvious one being I can only use Pokemon that I obtain from packs of Black Bolt and White Flare. The maximum team size in Pokemon games is 6, so that's 6 packs. Another rule is that I can only pick one Pokemon from each pack, so no mixing around or using multiple Pokemon from one pack. Also, no dupes, so I'm not allowed to use the same Pokemon twice. I will be allowing myself to use items in battle since I'm no expert at Pokemon, plus Black and White can be a bit challenging in some areas. And the last rule is no glitches. I will make an exception to this rule as some Pokemon can only be obtained through online events, such as the Mythicals, as well as Zoroark. Events that are no longer active, so if I pull one of these Pokemon and decide to use them, I will allow the use of cheats and exploits in order to obtain them. This challenge is going to be interesting. I could either get really lucky and build an insanely busted team, or I could get incredibly unlucky and be stuck with unevolved first route Pokemon all game. So with all that out of the way, let's open up our 6 packs and see what we can build for our adventure through the Unova region. So here we have one each of the Tech sticker collections. This was one of 2 ways that I could get my hands on 3 packs of each set. It was either get these or get 3 mini tins. There we go. So we of course have 1, 2, and there's a random piece of plastic in the way. We have 3 stickers, and then the promo card of Reuniclus, which does look really nice. This won't be an inclusion for the team. And then code card, feel free to take that. And we have the Gothitelle one with 3 white flares, stickers, and the promo Gothitelle wants to focus, there we go. And your code card, again, feel free to take. So we have 3 Black Bolt and our 3 White Flare. Each one of these is going to represent a member of the team. If I should have explained everything in the intro, but let's just get started and see what we can get. So Trubbish, Herdier, Pignite. Again, if I get a Pignite, or if I don't get an Emboar, basically, I have to stick to Pignite and I can't evolve it. Simisear, meh. Harlequin, Stunfisk, Gothita, Watchog, and a Hydreigon. Wow, for a first pack, Not many good choices. I guess the Hydreigon. I'm gonna have to think about that one, because Watchog is good for an early route, Stunfisk maybe, but I'll probably have a think about it as we go through. But for a first pack, not off to a good start, but there is 5 left. Pansear, Shelmet, Frillish, Duwart, Brave Bangle, Vanillux, Sork, Cottony, Striker, Tornadus. I'm not going to think too hard about what we can and can have from each pack. I'll wait till we've opened all of them, and then I'll think about it and make something at least. Pack over there. Munna, Dwebble, Panpour, Pansage, Simisage, Pokegear, Cincino, Research, Solosis, Klinklang. Okay. And then code card for everyone. We'll open another Black Bolt. It's a bit stuck. Reflect, Darumaka, Solosis, Timpole, Cryogonal, Beheeyem, Research, Pokeball, Elgyem, guess that's cool, Emolga, Thundurus. Code card. Right. I think this one might be the deciding one if we get a starter or not, because there's 2 starter lines in this set. Tepig, Basculin, Scraggy, Roggenrola, Stunfisk, Liepard, Selgor. That's a trade evolution. Oh, that's actually like, I think that's going to be the choice from this pack. A Keldeo EX Full Art. Yeah, that's kind of cool, but I genuinely think this is going to be the choice from this pack. And then code card for all of you, and then the Black Bolt pack. I guess we could choose Keldeo, but it's a mythical. And I want to try to like not use mythicals, but I guess it's kind of cool. Golett, Ponyard, Tynamo, Axew, Crossowl, Bisharp, Tortuga, Beartic, Axew, and a Landorus. Well, we got 2 of the genies actually. And then the code card, right. So I'm going to go through each of them, figure out what team we're going to build, try and make something usable out of all of this. Keldeo EX would be nice to put on the team, but I think there's just better options in here. I'm going to have a look and decide what we're going to do. Okay, so after some time, some thinking, some brainstorming, with to be honest, a very, very limited selection of Pokemon, I've decided the team. First up is Stoutland. So this guy we can get pretty much on the first route of the game with Lillipup, and he's an absolute beast. He's used in like every single speedrun of the game. Like, you would get your starter, immediately box your starter, and just use this guy for the entire game because he is just that strong. And I really wanted an early game, an early route Pokemon. Then the challenge would be a bit weird. It's like we get our starter, and then we have to use our starter until we can get the first Pokemon. So Stoutland is the perfect Pokemon to have in the early game as basically our new starter. The second Pokemon I decided to go for that we can get pretty early on is Simisear. It's fire type, so we can have coverage against, you know, stuff like some grass Pokemon, some ice Pokemon. Fire is always a good type, and especially in Generation 5, there kind of aren't that many good fire types. Emboar and Darmanitan are like the best ones. Simisear, I'm not really sure, I've never really used the elemental monkeys, so this will be a good excuse to use them. This does mean we'll have to pick, I think we pick Oshawott as our starter, so then we get given the Pansage from the gift lady at the Dream Yard. Next up, Crossowl. The pack that this one came from, the only good choices in there were Crossowl and Bisharp, and I've already chosen another steel type, and I don't really like having more than one of the same type of Pokemon on my team. Plus, I've never used Crossowl before. It has like decent coverage. I think it's rock and bug type, which is very interesting. It's also like kind of bulky, so that'll be an interesting one to play around with. Next up, Vanillux. I think the choices from this pack were Vanillux, Cinccino, and Stunfisk, I believe. And it's an ice type. We can get some decent ground coverage against dragons, and it's also like pretty good just in general. One thing you're going to notice about this team is we don't have a flying type or a water type, so I am going to have HM slaves to fulfill those costs. And then we have Klinklang. This one's pretty decent. It can learn steel moves as well as some electric moves, because I was originally going to use Zebstrika, which I believe was from the same pack as this. But I decided to go for Klinklang because this thing can learn electric moves alongside steel moves despite just being a pure steel type. It does evolve pretty late at level 49, but that's fine by me. And then the final choice was Beheeyem. Psychic special attackers are always pretty good, plus this thing can learn stuff like Shadow Ball and some other like status moves. It's not incredibly strong, but it'll get the job done and help cover certain weaknesses. So this is the team that I've chosen for this playthrough. I didn't go with Keldeo, it is a water type, but it was from the same pack as Stoutland, and Stoutland's just so good. Plus, I vaguely think Stoutland can learn Surf. I think it can, maybe, so that might cover our surfing weakness. So yeah, this is the team that we're going to be using. Let's see how this playthrough turns out. That wasn't awful.
Beginning our journey, we're introduced to the best professor in the Pokemon series, Professor Juniper. Don't at me. We pick our gender and name our character. Oh no, I. After some more waffle, the professor stops by our house and leaves behind a present containing 3 Pokemon, Snivy, Tepig and Oshawott, none of which we are allowed to use for this challenge, but I picked Oshawott as doing so will allow us to get a gift Pansear later on for our team. After destroying our own bedroom and leaving our mother to clean up after us, we witness a family argument and visit the professor, who gives us the Pokedex, meaning we can now begin our journey to be the very best like everyone ever has been. Running around the grass on Route 1, we find our first team member for this challenge, Lillipup, which I caught and named RK9 Labs after the website we used to sign up for Pokemon regionals and events. We immediately dump our Oshawott into the PC and run into the big bad group of this game, Team Plasma, and their leader, Ghetsis, who is definitely not secretly evil. I mean, just look at him. Pure and innocent. Afterwards, we battle a letter of the alphabet, who won't end up becoming an important character in the story, and make our way towards Strighton City, home of the first gym leader, as well as our next member of the team. Heading right, we enter the Dream Yard, and by talking to this woman, we are given one of the elemental monkeys depending on which starter we chose. Since we chose Oshawott, we are given Pansear, which I named George after Curious George. These two are going to be our only team members for a while, as we cannot obtain the next one until after the 3rd gym. After battling our rival and doing a tiny bit of grinding for Pansear, we take on the first gym leader, Cillian. This fight posed little to no threat. I mean, it's the first gym battle, so we easily defeat his Lillipup with our own, and then demolish Pansage with our own Pansear. 1 down, 7 more to go. After bullying all the kids at the daycare and our rival again, we are tasked with helping this girl get her Pokemon back from Team Plasma, during which time our Lillipup reaches level 16 and evolves into Herdier. Dealing with Team Plasma and returning the Pokemon, we battle our way south and reach Nacrene City, home of the next gym. Before taking on this gym, I decided to clear out all the trainers on the route to the left for some EXP and items. Plus we can get the TM for Rock Smash on this route, which will help greatly with this city's gym. Now it's time to okay, never mind, Pretty Boy is back. And here's a pushover. With our boyfriend silenced, we take on the second gym leader, Lenora. In a normal playthrough, this battle can actually be pretty challenging depending on your team, but with the power of Rock Smash and Intimidate from our Herdier, this gym is easy picking. This challenge is going better than I expected, but the game will definitely pick up in difficulty later on. Team Plasma is back, and instead of stealing other trainers' Pokemon, they are instead stealing the skulls of dead Pokemon. Following them into Pinwheel Forest and taking the skull back, we make our way over to Castile City in one of my favourite moments from this game. My first time playing this game as a kid, I just kept running back and forth along this bridge. It was and still is such a cool moment. Upon arriving, we talk to this man at one of the docks and receive the Firestone, which we need in order to evolve Pansear into Simisear. However, I won't be doing that just yet. Simisear doesn't learn any new moves through level up, so I want to get some good moves first from leveling up Pansear before deciding to evolve, especially a good fire move. And that move is not too far away, as after a couple of trainer battles, Pansear learns Flame Burst, and with that, we use the Firestone to evolve Pansear into Simisear. Afterwards, I decided to not fight any more trainers in the city as well as the route to the north, as I want to save them for our next team member. Team Plasma is up to no good again, stealing more Pokemon, this time from our own friend Bianca, which we promptly get back and head for the third gym and its leader, Bugsy. Simisear swept his team. Heading north and battling both our rivals, which pose no challenge, as always, we can finally catch our next team member, Dwebble, which took me almost half an hour to find. I understand it's a 10% encounter, but it shouldn't take that long. I eventually found one, and accidentally ran away as my body was still on autopilot. After finally finding another one, I caught it, and named it Sheena after Omanagawa Sheena from Face Connect.
If you meet a girl and her favorite Pokemon is Sylveon, run.
Using the desert resort as well as heading back to Castelia, I took advantage of all the trainers I skipped to help get Dwebble some levels before we made our way up to Nimbasa City, where I found even more trainers for some lovely and now diminishing EXP. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, starting with Generation 5, the amount of EXP you get doesn't just depend on the Pokemon you defeat, but also your Pokemon's level. If your Pokemon is a lower level than the defeated Pokemon, you gain more EXP, but if your Pokemon is a higher level, it will gain less. This leads to you feeling over-leveled early into the game, and then under-leveled towards the end, which is one of the reasons the second half of the game can be quite difficult. Witnessing another family dispute, we make our way towards the fourth gym, but Noble Victory's 92/101 is waiting for us and invites us on a Ferris wheel date, where he reveals that he is actually the king of Team Plasma. Didn't ask. Next up is the fourth gym leader, Alessa. This fight was a little annoying with her Emolga constantly using Volt Switch, but with the help of an Eviolite to boost our defense, and Dwebble having access to both rock and ground moves, we took another W. After another easy rival battle, we meet up with the champion of the Unova region, Alda, who randomly wants us to beat up some kids. After crossing the bridge, we end up in the iconic Driftvale City from How to Train Your Dragon, where we have more Team Plasma nonsense to deal with, as they are hiding out in the cold storage. At this point, I'm just guessing the police don't exist in this region. Before dealing with them, we pick up our fourth team member being Vanillite, who I named Mr. Whippy, which is a name of a UK brand of ice cream. While dealing with Team Plasma, our Herdier reached peak performance, evolving into Stoutland at level 32. After dealing with Team Plasma, again, we make our way over to the fifth gym and its leader, Clay. This fight can be difficult, especially with that Excadrill, but with the power of a big dog, he goes down pretty easily. Only 3 badges left to go, and during this section of the game we can obtain our final 2 team members. Making our way northwest, we bump into Clay, who clears the way for us to enter Chargestone Cave, where we can pick up one of our next team members, Clink, which I caught and named Clinker! This thing is pretty weak, so he'll be holding onto the EXP share for a little while until he learns some better moves. Continuing our way through Chargestone Cave, Dwebble reaches level 34 and evolves into Crustle.
After yet another battle with Let's Take Ibuprofen Together, we end up in Mistralton City, home of the 6th gym leader. But we have some business to take care of first, because she just isn't there, so off we go to Celestial Tower. At this point I realise that Vanillite and Clink are kinda bad, so I try to get them leveled up as fast as possible so they could evolve and at least get a little bit stronger. I managed to evolve Vanillite into Vanillish at level 35, but Clink doesn't evolve until level 38, so that'll have to wait a little while longer. In Celestial Tower we were able to pick up our final member of the team, Elgium, who I caught and named Crypto137 after the main protagonist from the Destroy All Humans games. And with that, we have every member of the team. Now we just need to finish the game. Oh, by the way, Elgium doesn't evolve until level 42. As much as I love Gen 5, I genuinely want to know who at Game Freak decided these evolution levels. After telling Skylar to come do her job, we tackle the 6th gym and its leader. After spamming almost all of our charge beams on Swoobat because it just wouldn't stop using Amnesia, we build up enough special attack boost to sweep her entire team and take our badge. Heading back towards Celestial Tower, but going east this time, we encounter our rival, who loses yet again, and then make our way through Twist Mountain, which during the winter month is very easy as you can just skip the entire area. And with that we make our way to Icarus City. Taking advantage of some trainers on the route to the east, Clink finally evolves into Clang at level 38. After clearing the area, we head over to the 7th gym and take on its leader, Bryson. We sweep with Simisear again. We hear that Team Plasma is up to no good, again, this time at the Dragon Spiral Tower, trying to awaken the legendary dragon Pokemon, so we, the 14-year-old child, have to stop them. Battling our way through Free XP and the band Ash, we reach the top where our husband has dumped us for some feminine-looking white dragon that some members of the Pokemon community call their wife.
I love Reshiram so much love.
He tells us that we too can obtain the ultimate husband by seeking the Darkstone and awakening Zekrom. It was at this point I realised we had access to both Fly and Surf, so it was time to backtrack and obtain some goodies from areas previously unreachable. Catching a Ducklet and shoving both TMs into its mouth, we headed all the way back to our hometown, going back through the region and into any areas or routes previously inaccessible, obtaining some very powerful items and TMs along the way, as well as gaining a couple of levels for our team. Elgium even reached level 42 and evolved into Beheum. With all the backtracking taken care of, we head to the desert resort to stop Team Plasma from finding the Darkstone. Little do they know it was in the museum this entire time, with it now being entrusted to us, the 14-year-old kid. Heading back to Icarus City, we have another fight with our rival, ignore the bridge, and end up in Opelucid City, home of the 8th and final gym leader. After listening to Getsis waffle on, we follow Iris, where she and Drayden tell us a story about the heroes of this region and the 2 legendary dragons, one of which is now in the hands of Team Plasma and ours has yet to awaken. Now it's time to take on the 8th and final gym leader, Iris. A couple of ice beams from Vanillish, and that's that. We have beaten all 8 gym leaders of the Unova region. But this challenge is far from over. We still have the Elite Four and Champion to take care of. We meet up with Juniper outside the gym, who gives us the Master Ball and wishes us luck with taking on the champion and stopping Team Plasma. On the next route we have one final battle with Cheren before we enter Victory Road, and again this guy is a pushover. Throughout the game he's always questioning how we are able to beat him and why he can never win. There's this whole character development thing about him trying to understand what it means to be strong, but in the end that's not the issue. His team just sucks. Before heading into Victory Road I had a few spare rare candies which I decided to use in order to level up Clang to level 49, where it evolved into Kling Clang.
we are finally here. Victory Road! The trainers here were actually quite tough. I had to waste a couple of items after each battle or use the Doctor Trainer to fully heal, but after some hard fought battles, we reached the top where the Pokemon League was waiting. However, my Pokemon's levels were looking a bit inconsistent. My team was around the high 40s, and I know for a fact the Elite Four have Pokemon in the low 50s, so I decided to do some level grinding, battling Wild Audino who give out quite a lot of EXP even with the EXP level curve. After about an hour I got all my Pokemon up to level 50. During the grind, Vanillish evolved into Vanillux at level 47. With the grinding taken care of, I taught everyone some good moves, distributed held items, and was ready to take on the final part of this challenge, the Elite Four and Champion. First up is the Ghost type user, Chantal. My idea for this fight was to use Stoutland primarily and just spam Crunch for an easy sweep, and this ended up working pretty well. We couldn't two-shot the Cofagrigus, which was perfect as it caused her to waste all of her healing items. Golok died from the rocky helmet he was holding as we were able to take time to heal up. Chandelure missed Fire Blast and Jellicent went down in a couple more crunches. 1 down, 3 to go. Next up is the Dark type user, Grimsley. My initial idea was to use Crustle as dark types are weak to bug, however he leads with Scrafty which isn't weak to bug as it's part fighting type, so I switched to Pansear and use Acrobatics to take it down. Crocodile is sent out next and gets one shot by an Ice Beam from Vanillux. At this point I decided to go back into Crustle for Bisharp and use Bulldoze, quickly realising this was a mistake as it has Defiant, so I just made it stronger, so I sacked off Crustle and took the KO with Pansear. Staying in for Liepard and getting a lucky crit for the one shot. Second one down, 2 left. Next up is the Psychic type user, Caitlyn. I led with Crustle yet again, who was able to take down Reuniclus with a couple of X-Scissors, but didn't survive her Sigilif, so I sent in Klinklang to clean up. I switched into Beheeyem for Gothitelle and narrowly survived 2 Shadow Balls and took the KO. Switching to Stoutland from Musharna, which after a few crunches, went down pretty easily. Only one more left to go, that being the Fighting type user, Marshall. This fight was the most difficult out of the 4. It may sound like an easy BM sweep, but as with most Psychic types, he has a glass cannon, so while he can deal a lot of damage, he can't take much. Plus, 3 of my team members are weak to fighting types. Fro went down fairly easily, but afterwards came Mienshao, which was easily able to outspeed and KO Beheeyem with U-turn going into Sork. Sending out Pansear, I thought Acrobatics would KO, but it turns out Sork, for some reason, has Sturdy. Barely surviving a Stone Edge, Sork goes down, and Conkeldurr comes in. I go for a risky play and use Acrobatics, which doesn't KO, but he misses the Stone Edge, and we knock out with another Acrobatics. Lastly, Mienshao comes back in, and I know Pansear is faster, so I go for Acrobatics, and it doesn't KO. I send in Vanillux, don't ask why because he dies instantly to a jump kick, so I send in Stoutland, another Pokemon who is weak to fighting, but he is able to tank a jump kick, and then Mienshao dies because of the rocky helmet, which I definitely didn't forget about. That was all part of the plan. With that, the Elite Four have been defeated, and all that remains is the champion. However, Natural Harmonia Gropius has already beaten Alder and is now considered the new champion of the Unova region. Noticing we have the Darkstone, he grows a castle out of the ground, to which we follow him inside. Confronting the king of Team Plasma, he continues to spout on about his ideals, summoning his wife Reshiram to his side, leaving the woman to do all the work for him. This triggers something inside the Darkstone as Zekrom is a well-known Giga Chad who hates when men use women and awakens from inside. With no choice, we are forced to battle Zekrom. In this fight, we have to capture Zekrom, as knocking it out will just restart the battle. So one quick ball later, we quell the legendary dragon and shove him away in a PC box, proving that we are the true alpha male. Now to take on the new champion of the Unova region, N. I made the stupid choice of leading with Vanillux. Dragon is weak to ice after all, completely forgetting that Reshiram is also a fire type. One Fusion Flare later, and I send out Crustle, who is the only Pokemon that can actually deal decent damage with Rock Slide. I'm able to get one off before Crustle goes down, so in comes Stoutland to tank some hits. I make him waste a full restore while I revive Crustle, who gets KO'd again by a crit Fusion Flare. However, Fusion Flare only has 5 power points, so he should have used them all up by now. Going into Beheeyem, I Toxic the Reshiram and revive Crustle yet again. Reshiram goes for a Hyper Beam, which is perfect as I'm able to get off some extra damage before Beheeyem is knocked out, and Reshiram goes down as well thanks to a poison. That was just his first Pokemon, by the way. I have no idea what he is sending out, so I just pick Simisear, and he sends out Caracosta. So I immediately switch into Klinklang. Thunderbolt does some good damage, and then instead of going for another one, I decide to use Gear Grind instead, which misses, so down goes Klinklang. I have no idea why I decided to do that. I send out Crustle to revive Klinklang, swapped back into it, and then proceeded to knock out Caracosta. Next comes N's own Klinklang, but surprise, it's actually Zoroark, who goes down pretty easily. Archeops is next, and with one Thunderbolt it goes under half HP, which lowers all of its stats thanks to its Defeatist ability, making it incredibly weak, so another Thunderbolt seals the deal. Klinklang comes in next and dies to a Flame Burst from Simisear, and lastly is Vanillux, who suffers the same fate, never mind it takes 2. With that we have beaten the new champion and finished Pokemon White. Never mind, it turns out Ghetsis was evil all along. Wow, who could have seen that coming? He was using Team Plasma and N this entire time in order to gain control over all of the region's Pokemon where only him and Team Plasma could use them. Even with the power of the legendary dragon, N was still not able to stop us. So Ghetsis will have to do it himself. This challenge is not over just yet. We have one more battle to take on, the leader of Team Plasma and N's adoptive father, Ghetsis. The final battle of the game, and easily the hardest. He starts off with Cofagrigus, which is very annoying, constantly using Toxic and Protect to try and whittle our HP down, but we are able to knock it out after a couple of turns. Next up, the strongest Pokemon of Ghetsis' team, Hydreigon. An illegal Hydreigon, as Zweilous doesn't evolve until level 64. This thing is a beast. Knocking out Vanillux, I go into Beheeyem and use Toxic to get a little bit of extra damage going. After Beheeyem goes down, I send out Pansear thinking it might be faster, but it's not, and down he goes. I don't have many options here. This thing can easily one-hit KO any member of my team, but being part Dark type, I have the idea of sending out Crustle. If he can tank at least one hit, I might have a chance. So out he goes. Hydreigon goes for a Surf, and Crustle lives. Using X-Scissor, I bring his HP down low enough to where Toxic takes the KO. We might have taken down his strongest team member, but the fight isn't over yet. Next out is Bisharp, and with Simisear still knocked out, I decide to sacrifice Crustle in order to revive him. A single Flame Burst takes down Bisharp, and next out is Bouffalant. I get off some damage with Simisear before he gets knocked out, so I send out Stoutland. Intimidate helps lower its attack, and after tanking a head charge, the recoil, plus Rocky Helmet, and a reversal is enough to knock it out. Up next is Seismitoad. This thing I don't have a counter for, as it's part ground, so I can't use Thunderbolt. I stay in with Stoutland and just spam Strength, which is enough to take it down. Last but not least is Electros, another Pokemon I don't have a counter for, as it has Levitate, making ground moves completely useless. I send in Klinklang, who didn't do a whole lot, but I got its HP to below half, and after a single Ice Beam from Vanillux, we took it down. And with that, I have officially finished Pokemon White, using only Pokemon I pulled from booster packs. This challenge was actually really fun. Some of these Pokemon I've never used before, so I was pleasantly surprised by how well they performed. Simisear, while it doesn't learn any new moves after you evolve it, is still really strong and decently fast. Normally I would use a different fire type like Emboar or Darmanitan, but Simisear proved to be a very strong fire type himself. Beheeyem was also very strong, It's slow but packs a punch and has access to a lot of strong moves. Overall, this challenge went a lot better than I expected it to go. After all, what Pokemon I'm allowed to use was completely luck based, and despite me thinking I didn't get many good options, these Pokemon still performed very well. Maybe if I pulled some different Pokemon, this challenge could have been awful. Also, I think if I do a challenge like this again in the future, I will not allow myself to use items in battle. Being able to just revive my team constantly is kind of unfair, and restricting the usage of items will definitely make some fights much more difficult and will require a lot more strategy in order to win. As I said in the beginning of the video, Generation 5 is my favourite, so this challenge gave me the perfect excuse to play through these games again. Games that, to this day, I still love and adore, and I'm happy to see it get more recognition as of late with Black Bolt and White Flare. Will I do another challenge like this again in the future? Possibly. We do have the 151 set, which includes all of the Pokemon from the first generation Kanto, so I could open some packs of that set and build a team, or if we see a similar style set in the future for a different generation, we'll have to wait and see. For now, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video. If you made it this far, then please subscribe, like the video, share the video with friends, or don't. It's completely up to you, but if you do, then thank you. Your support is greatly appreciated, and take care.